Good morning. Welcome back. Another Tuesday edition of the Deep Dive here with me. For anyone who doesn't know, my name is Tim. I go by Foamy Guy on GitHub and Discord. I stream around this time each week, Tuesday mornings, 10 a.m. Central Time here on the Adafruit channel, working on stuff related to CircuitPython. If you don't know what CircuitPython is, you can find out more about that project here at the main website, circuitpython.org. This is basically a version of Python that runs on tiny computers called microcontrollers. When you use CircuitPython with these devices, the way it typically works, you'll plug it into your computer with a USB cable. It shows up like a thumb drive. You can edit a Python code file on that thumb drive with whatever text editor you want, and then when you save it, the microcontroller will reset and interpret and execute that Python code for you, and the code can interface with whatever other hardware you hook up to that microcontroller. So some devices are very general purpose, like these Raspberry Pis. They don't really have any thing of note built in. They just have lots of I/O pins, which you can hook up whatever you want to. Although the Pico Ws, in fact, actually do have Wi-Fi built in, so that's one thing they have. Other devices are more purpose-built. If we scroll down a few rows here, there's this MacroPad device, which is a good example of a purpose-built one. It is also a microcontroller, but it has added on to it slots for these Cherry-compatible keys. I think they're Cherry-compatible, don't quote me on that part. A knob and a little screen, so it's kind of like a purpose-built little MacroPad device. It's still a microcontroller that you can write Python code for the same way using CircuitPython, but this one just has more built-in hardware and less of a general purpose use case. So that is what CircuitPython is all about. Again, circuitpython.org, you can learn more about it there. As always, thanks to Adafruit. Adafruit is a hardware and software company based out of New York. They make CircuitPython possible by paying a team of folks, including myself, to work on the CircuitPython project. All of the code is published as open source on GitHub. Anyone is allowed to use it in your own projects. Anyone is allowed to add support for your own hardware to it. You don't have to pay a license to Adafruit or anyone else to do that. If you would like to help support Adafruit and the open source software that they support in turn, which is including CircuitPython, like I've been talking about and like I stream about, but also includes other open source software as well. They pay people to work on Arduino drivers and other things that are outside the CircuitPython world too. If you would like to help support it, one of the easiest ways you can do is by purchasing hardware from their website, adafruit.com. You can get yourself microcontrollers like the ones we saw on the previous page. You can also get yourself all sorts of bits and bobs, widgets, what have yous to hook up to your microcontroller to make fun and interesting projects with. And then if I'll try to remember at the end of the stream as well, but in case I forget, check out JP's stream later on today or a special discount on a particular product here at the Adafruit site. Like I said, I'll try to remember to do that at the end as well. So jumping into where I'm at today, I'm back in the land of I2S. I almost said I2C accidentally. So I am back working on this PR. We got feedback last week from Scott, basically saying we could do this bit replication differently, more efficiently. So to give a little bit more context before I dive directly straight in, there was, we want to mirror the high bits into the low bits. I think you need the shifting for 24 into 32. Just leave the top bits blank. Yeah. Okay, I think that this is what we did. But if I'm honest, all of the bit math is like just a tad over my head. Like conceptually, I get the idea that we're flipping the bits around, and I also conceptually get the idea we have, in this case, we're talking about audio signal, 24 bits worth of data traveling in a 32-bit sort of package or data object. And thus we have some extras, and thus there's some nuance in where we choose to put the data and how we do it. But the actual particulars of which bits are flipping and all of this stuff is not, I have not sat down and actually, really, in order for me to wrap my head around it, what I would have to do is print it out at every step of the way so that I can see what's happening. And I have not done that. But I do think that it is working as intended, because the testing I have done, while it's not print out every single bit and visually look at it, the audio recordings work and stuff, right? I can record and it comes out legible. Same thing for NeoPixels. If I split up the signal to different frequencies and I play some music or whatever, I can see that different lights are reacting correctly to different frequencies. So I think that the math is overall good. I just don't actually 100% grok all of it down to the bit. But basically what I've done is, I think, address Scott's last review here about using a not shift instead of replicating the bits. So this code here used to be a loop, which was going through and trying to replicate low bits to fill in data that was otherwise not there. In fact, we could see the change if we do something like this. We had this loop here that was having a remaining value, was looping while remaining is greater than 0. It's kind of going through copying bits, taking a chunk off of remaining each time to get the shifted result. And then the new one here is no longer doing this. It is only just shifting here. Much like the else case when output depth is equal to or less than input depth. So that is the change, and what we need to do right now is test it. So we are going to build and then run it on, let's do Espressif first. Is one of these in Espressif already? This one is. I think I might need to do IDF install again. So I'm unclear. When you run IDF install like this, I'm unclear on if this is installing like into the system in my home directory or something. Like, I think it's putting some stuff there, but I'm not sure what all goes there. And more to the point, I'm not sure if you can have multiple ESP IDFs installed. So I have been doing a different project as well that uses a different version of the IDF, and I've been installing that one, and I think that I need to install them each time that I use them, but I haven't tried to confirm that. So I'm going to make for the Feather TFT ESP32S3, which is what I have on this board. Up to a microphone there, if I can find it. What is up, my friend Sudhir Kumar? My apologies if I got your name incorrect there over on the YouTube. Says very good. Thank you for that. Appreciate the kind words. So let's go make that board. And actually, while this is running, hopefully I don't mess up anything by doing this, but we can try to find the right SD card. Which is this one right here. Okay. All right. Looks like there's a helicopter about to land on the roof. Let me see here. 1 second, actually. I need to check something. Okay, we're back. Helicopter did not land on the roof, thankfully. This is on, what is this got on it? We're still building back here. Oh. Right, so this is the recording code, and it is just gonna run as soon as it launches. You know what we should do is, actually had this idea the other day, but never used it, which is add an input at the beginning of this, because sometimes I don't want it to run if I'm not like set up yet, because I want it to record something, or I want it to, or the SD card's not back in yet, or the microphone's not hooked up because I connected it to another device or whatever. So I think this would actually be kind of handy to have this not just run automatically in this case. So then it would, I didn't save it. There we go. It's not really any key, is it? It's enter, because you need to get the prompt to finish. Press enter. So then you can press enter and it does its thing, or record for 10 seconds. And then save it to the SD card, and then we could pop that over to the computer to check it. But we need to get the new build, because the whole point of this is to test that change in the code. It should be good to my eye, but I do want to change it since we took out kind of a whole chunk here. So we need to get to the bootloader. Double reset, but I pressed boot instead of reset. There we go. It washes out on the screen, but you can sort of see faintly there. We have the TFT, the UF2 bootloader screen. There we go. Right, rebooted. Enter to start recording. Try to just to where I don't have to yell too loud, and hopefully both microphones can pick me up without it being too crazy. Testing, 1, 2, 3, 4, testing, testing, check, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, testing, testing. Go to REPL. We will get this. We'll bash the camera. Put that in backwards first, that's very important. There we go. That's weird. I heard the connection sound, I thought. Hmm. Okay. I heard the connection sound, but it didn't actually mount. But one thing is usually these are a little bit on the quiet side. What I've been doing to test is opening with Audacity. All right, so the good news is we can see like a little bit there. So it has something. It has both like silence and data, which is good. Sometimes, I mean, if it was broken, it would just be silence only or whatever. Or like a wall of data, I guess. I don't know how loud this probably be. Yeah, I don't think you'll be able to hear this. Testing, check. 1, 2, 3, 4, testing. Okay, yeah. I hit the slider so that you could actually hear it, as you may have noticed. And that is working good. So we have sound getting recorded correctly. All is fine there. On Espressif port, whoa, okay. That's awesome. I wish I knew how to do that on purpose. This transitions into my next project quite nicely, actually, which is going to be glitch camera stuff on a Raspberry Pi. And I'm going to screenshot this actually so that I can try to recreate it. Would Audacity have done that? I don't think so. I don't even know I have a great way to fix that, honestly. I mean, close this and reopen it is about the only idea I have, so luckily that worked. But now it won't focus. There we go. I don't know really what you gotta do. Get lucky, I guess. Give it something, give it movement to realize what to focus on, which is odd. Okay. So that test is good. Let's do Raspberry Pi port. For that, I will make the build for Fruit Jam. Okay, we need the Python virtual environment. So used to running Python after I do that. And while that's running, leave it unplugged for a minute. I'm gonna look at the pinout on the screen, that way you can see it as well, and I'm not trying to like get all up in front of the camera. Learn Fruit Jam. Alright, here we go. It's vertical ways, but so it's like 90 degrees here, right? This is the top side. So we want 3 volts and ground, first of all. So those are right next to each other there on the top row. Pins, you know, what I'll call 2 and 3, starting from the left here, 1, 2, 3. And that is these two here. Two volts, ground. And what did I do for the data pins? Liz has just returned from a walk. Hi. Yeah, what's up, Liz? Nice to see you this morning. Hope you had a nice walk. I think my walk is coming up after the stream. It's looking pretty nice outside today. So I have this code. So we want bit clock on D6, word select on D7, and data on D8. So those are 6, 7, and 8. Those are here. So we're sort of just in the middle of this row, kinda. 6, 7, and 8. So they're after the analog pins. There's 5 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we get to 6, but... Alright, 6 is bit select. Okay, so we should have 5 blanks. And then, like, after ground, and then bit clock. Which is yellow. In my case, although the yellow and the orange are kind of a little bit close there. But this yellow wire right here, that's connected to bit clock, so we want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 empty slots. That's there. 6 looks good to my eye. It's a little dark, but I think I could see it there. And then we have word select. 7, so that's the next one, which I think is out of order on this, right? So bit clock, then there's data out here, and then there is LRCL, which is the word select thing, I think. The orange. So orange is actually going to go next into 7. Data, which is green, is going to go into 8. If I recall correctly, the deal is you need, like these two, I think, have to be consecutive one after the other. So 6 and 7 works, like 7 and 8 might work, but 6 and 8 would not work because they're out of order. Or they're not consecutive, I guess is a better way to put it. Okay, so that should be wired up. Did we get a good build here? We did, so let's get this connected and go to the bootloader. This time we don't need the SD card. This does have an SD card, which we could record to theoretically as well. But the deal is, what I have found is that this one is out of date a little bit, so it's starting up. It's not really out of date, it's just been in a box for a minute. I've been using a different Fruit Jam for a little while. So it's got Fruit Jam OS on it, which is what all that stuff printed. What was I saying? Oh, right. On the ESP port, on the Espressif devices, on S3 is mostly what I've tested on. Although I did do a ESP32 plain as well for a minute, and that was working too. On those ones, it can record like sort of streaming style to the SD card. It can like record a little chunk, write it to the SD card, and then do that in a loop. So it can record a chunk, write it, record a chunk, write it, record a chunk, write it, and by the time you're done, you have a WAV file that contains, you know, that entire length of recording, and it works successfully and everything's good. On the Raspberry Pi port, what I have found is if you try that sort of streaming writing technique where you get a chunk and write it and get a chunk and write it, the time it takes for it to write, it takes too long and it interrupts it from being able to record the next chunk in real time. So if you run the same code on the Raspberry Pi port where you're recording in that way, you end up with audio that has like gaps in it essentially. But what you can do on the Fruit Jam and lots of the RP2350 based devices, they have a lot of RAM. There's like 8 megs of RAM or SRAM or whatever. Like there's different kinds of RAM. In any case, there's a lot of it compared to other devices. So we can actually easily record 5 seconds, 10 seconds. We can just record it straight into RAM and then write it once at the end, and then it works successfully. I had hypothesized that maybe using CP saves instead of the SD card would fix that problem, that we'd be able to stream and be able to keep up with the writing. Like maybe that was going to be faster than the SD card. It turned out to not be faster enough to matter. But having all the extra RAM makes it so we can record the like 10 seconds we need and then write it to the disk, which was, you know, like the opposite of the problem on the ESP32S3 is we didn't have enough RAM to record that much data and then write it at the end. So it's kind of opposite spectrums where you can either write as you go if you don't have very much RAM and you can write fast enough, or you can record all into memory if you have lots of memory and your flash writes and or SD card writes are slow. So somewhat long-winded, but that's the state of the testing and why the Fruit Jam one works a bit different. That's why it's using CP saves. I thought it was going to resolve that, and that's also why it's now recording a full chunk. A full recording, I should say. Button 0. Sorry, I don't know if I had the camera on, I think. Okay. I thought for a second I did not put the RP2350 and I thought I just did media TIMC. I was like, that's not gonna what we want. Here we go. So that's that invalid display size. How would that have changed? I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole, but I'm curious why. Huh. 1 second. I need to look at settings toggle. Don't want to. Okay. So inside there, it says display width of 640. So it would have been this. I don't actually like this operator all that much, if I'm honest about it. I feel that it makes the code a little bit harder to follow. Alright, again, I don't want to go too far down this road because it's not related to the I2SIn, but we're making good time. We got about 30 minutes left for the stream. And if this is like something that's broken in the newer builds, then I want to know so I can make an issue and try to get it fixed and such. So I feel it's worth at least a minute here to because nothing else changed. The only thing that changed is I flashed the new build of CircuitPython. That should not really have made any difference. I wonder, the only thing I can think, so I know Dan was working on changes to settings toggle that expanded the types of data. I wonder if we now, so it says if this is not in X0 for X a valid display, so with config, Let me print more stuff. Let's get the type of this also. I bet you maybe it changed from a string to an int or something. So with config type, because that's one of the things I think Dan was working on recently was allowing different types of data in settings.toml, which differs a little bit from os.getenv, which is how it's exposed in CircuitPython, I think, because I'm pretty sure os.getenv, I think it might always be strings. I'm not actually 100% sure, but I want to say that it's like always strings maybe, which is how CircuitPython was, but then it seemed like it would be useful for various reasons to have other types as well. I want the first index of that, the 0 index of that, and then that's going to be a tuple. So I want, yeah, the first element of the tuple as well. Honestly, this logic is weird anyway, because this says get the width from the settings file, right? And then this says if the width is not in okay, never mind. If it's not in, see, this is weird. Why would this be in anyway? We have, oh, no, okay, I see. Right. Yeah, so we're basically building a list of the first elements of these. So we're going to end up with a list that contains 360, 720, 320, and 640. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So we want the first one of those, and then we want the left, the first index within the tuple of that item, and then I want to know the type of that, because I'm suspecting it's not going to match the type of this, and I'm suspecting that is why this is triggering. You can't do it because it's a set, and you can't access the individual elements of a set for reasons that are beyond my ability to comprehend, but I know it to be a fact. So instead, this is where Python really kind of bugs me with the way this, all this code is all in this one line here, and it makes it actually super difficult to troubleshoot the particular problem we have in this case, because I can't just print a single one of these things. You have to iterate through it because it's a set. You can't get a single one. And then, so like I could add a print like inside this for loop here, but there is no inside to it because it's in this whole comprehension thing. Anyway, my slight quibbles with Pythonic code aside, let's do what we have to do here. So we can basically just make another loop. So for throwaway variable invalid, and then we can do this, but it's no longer display size 0. Now it is throwaway variable. And we are forced to get the type of all of them unless I add another if statement that's like only do this on the first iteration, which I'm not going to do. Okay. Yes, indeed. Okay, so very good. We have a string here. You can print before the raise. I can print before the raise, but I don't think I have access to, X0, do I? Now I'm actually curious. Maybe I do. Maybe I do, actually. Okay, I've done this all wrong. X0. There we go. Yeah, I think now that I'm... No, I don't. I don't, because X only exists inside of here. Yeah. the context for this for loop like disappears before we get to the next line of code, or ends, I guess is a better way to put it. So we don't have access to X here, which is really what I want to print. So I mean, I can print here. I can totally print anything, any static string that I want, but I just can't print the value of the variable that I actually, in this case, want to know to help troubleshoot. Yeah, thank you though for the suggestion. That was, I had not. It didn't occur to me to try. So yeah, I do appreciate the suggestion. So yeah, this is exactly what the issue is. We have 640 here, it's a string, all of these are ints, therefore this in right here is never going to trigger because the thing is never in there because they're not the same when they're different types. So the gist of this, I think, is that the different types have made this code no longer work. What I'm going to do is just create an issue real fast, and then I'll fix this later. So this is a FruitJam problem. It should be inside of code. I'm just going to double check that the code here is the same as, yeah, what's on my device, just in case if I had some weird version that wasn't in the repo and was not actually a problem for anybody else, but that's not the case. New settings, toml behavior breaks screen size check. So I think I'm guessing that in this change 10975, display size config and set the display. I mean, the other thing I should check, I guess, is the FruitJam documentation to make sure that it doesn't show it as a string, but I'm pretty sure it shows it as a... I'm pretty sure it shows it as a number. Maybe the guide doesn't have even a config for it. Possibly the guide doesn't have the config for it, actually. Okay, so this guide just points you... Alright, I see. This guide just points you to this guide, which does totally just use ints right here, like this. Okay. What is that, an operator? The in operator never results in true under latest builds because what is it? It is with config. With config is type string, but is that right? Yeah, with config is string, but then the numbers in there are ints. invalid display sizes. Put the values in int. Okay, there we go. Should be easy to fix. I think it just needs to, like, it could totally just convert and then it would be fine, or it could also have strings in that thing and it would be fine. It'll be easy to fix. I just wanted to validate the issue and create the issue for it so it doesn't get lost. Yeah, and now we don't really care about this code anymore because we're going to run the recording example. I am going to do this trick with the input here so that we can run it, like start it when I want. Press enter to begin recording. Yeah, it could make the valid, yeah, totally. Strings in the actual dictionary there. Or whatever that is. I think it's, well, it's a set, I guess we found out. A set of tuples. Yeah, I don't know. It feels wrong to me that you cannot access the individual elements of a set. I don't understand that, really. Okay. And we should be ready to test, right? So let me just check some stuff here. So, oh, this doesn't tell me my, okay, well, never mind. Hoping that would tell me the hash or whatever, so I could compare that to what is here. I think that's what I saw before, though. FF, I think, well, we could see on the PR? Yeah. Or FF091C. Okay. All right. Let's test this. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Testing. Check. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I don't know if it actually, I'm not sure if I stopped early or if it just takes longer at the end, like after it's done recording when it does the writing, maybe it takes longer. All right, I do actually now remember one thing that I should have done before I tested that would have made this easier is if I would have done that before, we would be able to try to do this. You get the file to refresh without unplugging and replugging. Yeah, I don't think it worked. Oh. Might have worked. It just took a second. What's the file name? Is record. Okay. Testing. Check. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So it did actually. It does. There's like a period after it was done recording before it printed this. Yeah, see, so yeah, that printout is actually slightly misleading in this case because it's timing how long it recorded for. So that part is actually basically, oh, we're back to the crazy camera again. Ah, man, I really wish I could figure out how that happened. Is it like, okay, anyway, let's not Not the project. It's like it took chunks out of it and then like offset them by by like 2/3 width. But there's also rounding because they're not all offset the same. Like this one is offset here, which is like 1/6 or something of this entire width. I'm totally gonna try to make this though in the next project that I work on. I'm glad this happened. Yeah, anyway, back to here is what I was trying to get to. So this did record for 10 seconds, but after it recorded for 10 seconds and after it got these two variables where it's using to time how long it took, it then wrote the file, which I think takes an extra couple of seconds, and then it printed this out and it only included this time here. Okay. That doesn't matter so much, but it was misleading before. Now it's going to be a bit better, I think. So it will print when it actually gets done recording. That way you know if you're still trying to talk or whatever, that it's not actually recording anymore. Then it will save, and then it will print again when it's actually done so that you know the file is ready. But the file did totally work fine. I think I bumped the volume a little bit, so maybe you were able to hear it, but it is totally fine, so this is all good. I will come back to here. I think I'll probably cut down on the comments. I don't know if we need all of this per se. So left justify, place the input bits into the high bits of the wider output and leave the new low bits as 0. For upscaled output, the meaningful data is high. Is the high in-depth bits. Yeah, I don't think we need this part. This is this is basically just like a non sequitur about the review. Basically, this is basically just saying that what the review said was true. That this is faster, which is true, but is not really needed to be in line in the code like that. All right, let's check this change. Make sure it didn't do anything super crazy here. Shift only, sign preserving, when upscaling, input occupies the high in-depth bits, and the new low bits are 0. Okay. So then we want the same fix. This is in what? Raspberry Pi? What's this in? Raspberry Pi. Okay. And then actually, did the doc strings change also? No. I don't think so. Double check. Just for a second there. I think these files are going to be all the same. But just in case, I'm going to Paste them here. Make sure there's not any changes that I had on the in the other repo over there on the Raspberry Pi. No, okay, I don't. Okay. Let's run pre-commit. In one of the other 11 billion terminals. This one, perhaps. And I did not change any strings, so there shouldn't need to be like make translate issue. I think it should be good to just push that. Use a, what was it? A not shift. Use not shift. Use not shift instead of bit replication. And I need to fix this audio. My local version of this branch got messed up. So now I have a new one called audio I2SIn fix, but I'm still pushing to the remote one that the PR is made on. Just my local copy of that is kind of wrecked right now. I am a little bit. I want to see the code back at this commit for just a second. What was it before? This is Raspberry Pi. It was around like 400 something. Okay, here we go. Is this what we changed it to? Maybe I'm misunderstanding what we were supposed to do here. I guess we'll see. You're back from Scott again. Because this actually looks fairly similar to the new code now. We changed from something sort of like that to the other one, which was a bit different. Yeah, I'm not sure if I did what he actually asked or not, because to my eye, this looks similar. And this is how it was before, like two befores ago. And then these reviews were here. This one doesn't actually say what the thing is, but the other one was talking about the low bits. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. If I'm honest, I don't really fully grok what I mean, it is different. This part's different. We're not doing this whole casting thing. But I don't know if, I think now we don't have the, I think maybe now we don't have the mirroring. I guess it's a little bit confusing because here it's like you'll want to mirror the high bits to the low bits. But then in the next one it was like, are you sure you want to mirror the bits instead of not shifting? So, I don't know if we have done what Scott had in mind or not. Yeah, to my eye now at least, this reads like the opposite of this, kinda. You'll want to mirror the highest bits into the lowest bits here. Otherwise you won't get to this value or whatever. The ADC code has to do that too. Which is true, there is a similar shifty thing in the ADC code. I did go and find that. But then here it's, are you sure you want to mirror the bits? No, I think, yeah, maybe this changes it from us using the high bits to the low bits or something? I don't know, honestly. I don't think we did this right, honestly. I don't think I did this right. Yeah, I'm not sure this is right. Because it also seems like our comment here is now a little bit opposite also. Place the input bits into the high bits of the wider output and leave the new low bits as 0. One thing I will say is, like, anecdotally, I think the recording might sound a bit better this way. Had sort of an echoey thing before, but the other, like, it's maybe not fair, because when I was testing before, I was recording something else, not just me talking. But it does feel opposite here, right? Because it does say the API contract is for the upscaled output. Meaningful data is in the high in-depth bits, but Scott said put into the low bytes. Yeah, I don't know. All right. That does bring us to the end of the stream, though. I will finish writing a comment here to Scott to ask, well, mention that I committed and ask if what I did is what he had in mind or not. Thanks to everyone for watching. I do hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. As noted before, Check out JP's product pick. Stream should be later on today here on the Adafruit channel. You can get yourself a discount on a particular product on the site. Could be little Indian, big Indian issue. Yeah, low bits, high low. Well, it'd be bytes in that case, but yeah, it could be. That could be the hang up, is maybe one's working and one. Yeah, that's where I'm at. Is like, I don't know. For anyone who wasn't around at the beginning of the thread, I kind of maybe rambled a little bit about. I don't fully have my head wrapped around this math all the way. In order to actually understand this, truthfully, what I would need to do is go through and print this data, and then I could look at what is it before it's shifted and what is it after it's shifted, and being able to see what it does visually, then I could understand more what it is. And I just have not added those print statements to actually look at what it is doing, which limits my ability to understand, really, I think, what Scott's asking about. All right, yeah, check out the stream later today. Like I said, JP's product pick. I believe that Scott is planning to deep dive on this Friday, the 29th, but then he is out the next couple of weeks. So, like, the first 3 Fridays of June, at the very least, I believe, Scott's going to be out on those. So I am planning to deep dive on all of those days, the 5th, the 12th, and the 19th of June. And so I won't be doing my stream on Saturday those weeks, but I do, when I don't stream deep dive on Friday afternoons, I do stream on my own channel Saturday mornings for anyone who wants more CircuitPython development stream action. You can find me there on Saturdays, but like I said, I skip it whenever I'm doing deep dives. So the first couple weeks in June, I'll be doing deep dives and not be doing Saturday streams. Reminder, today is Tuesday CircuitPython meeting, so upcoming in about 2 hours from now, we will be over in CircuitPython dev channel for the meeting. Usually that's on Mondays, but yesterday was a holiday in the US, so we bumped it to Tuesday. So usually that's not on the same day as my stream, but because it is today, I will give a reminder about it. Otherwise, I hope you all have a great rest of your day. I will see you again next time. So long, farewell. Thank you for hanging out.